Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything, and you know what time it is. We're continuing with our Drawing Every Country in the World's Flag series, and sticking around in Europe, we're going to be doing the small country, Russia's little brother, Belarus, or Belarus, depending on how you want to say it. So Belarus stands for White Russia. And there is a little bit of confusion around that, so a lot of different lore and legend around why they're called the White Russians. No, it doesn't have to do with the drink, the dude abides, but some legends say that it comes from the Belarus people being Christians, as opposed to like the other pagans in the area. So it was like kind of like white represented Christianity, black the pagan peoples, and they've always been in the Russian sphere of influence. Don't get them confused with like the Mensheviks. So the Mensheviks, you know, they were like they were active during the Bolshevik Revolution, right? So you had the red Bolsheviks, and then the more moderate communists, the white Mensheviks. So those were White Russians as well, but that's a different White Russia, not where Belarus gets its name from. And they do have a pretty tricky flag. So I just want to start with that. It has a very ornate kind of a textile pattern running down the side, and that does represent something that comes from the textile industry in Belarus. It kind of looks like a playing card or something too, so just give me a minute here while I put all that where it's supposed to go. One of the more ornate flag designs. All right. So Belarus, yeah, like the white Christian part, that kind of comes from when they were under the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. And then, you know, kind of early Russian history, you know, basically kind of where Russia starts is kind of like when the Mongols are turned back. It's around the 13th century. So the Muscovy states kind of form under that, and you know, Muscovy, Moscow later becomes. The land that is Belarus now becomes part of the Polish and Lithuanian Commonwealth, right? And that Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth is maybe not talked about as much today as like a great power, but they truly were like one of the strongest states in Europe at that particular time. And you know, all things come to an end. So the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, there's a series of partitions that basically break that up, and that's when Belarus kind of falls under the Russian Empire, under that sphere of influence. Never really like a state of Belarus. There is a brief one in 1918 to 1919, and you know, I've mentioned this many times on my channel. That is a very bad time to achieve your independence if you're bordering Russia, because almost immediately the Soviet Union comes in and gobbles up everything. So Belarus is no different, and the 1918 Belarusian People's Republic becomes a communist SSR of the Soviet Union. Yeah, this reminds me of, like, I don't know, like a playing card or something like that. I guess it's supposed to be like quilt patterns, like a quilt design. So kind of artsy, right? I'm not a quilt guy, if you haven't figured that out yet, but I can appreciate the intricacies here in the Belarusian flag. And yeah, so Belarus, I don't want to say like they did good under communism, because nobody does, but they adapted to it a lot better than, say, like Ukraine, right? Ukraine has a pretty strong non-Russian, like Ukrainian identity by that point. So, the communists never tolerated nationalism. So countries like Ukraine, Poland, they had a much tougher go under Soviet rule, whereas Belarus, because it was never really never really had a strong state or like ethnic identity to begin with. They kind of just adapted to Russian rule a lot better, right? There's not a lot of anti-Russian sentiment or conflicts there. And yeah, so that's kind of another reason why, I always say that, like, Belarus, a lot like Serbia, right, is just always kind of been historically like Russia's little brother, like an ally. Anytime Russia makes a move, I'm talking modern Russia, post-Soviet, anytime Russia makes a move on the world stage, Belarus is usually right there with them, right? They pretty much support whatever it is that Russia does. So as you can imagine, they are not part of the international community. Belarus is they're one of the bad guys, if if that's your thing when you're looking at things in geopolitics, right? So not to say that there aren't issues. So just like all the Soviet states, even the weaker ones like your Central Asian, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and all that, there are anti-communist movements. So there are small, like Popular Front uprisings, as communism is pretty much showing its teeth by this point and showing what a kind of a paper tiger it really is. A lot of people not getting what they thought they'd be getting under communism. A lot of rough economic times, a lot of starvation. So communism collapses in 1991, and that's when Belarus becomes a sovereign state. So kind of for the first time in its history, really, for any extended period of time, Belarus is a nation state. It's its own thing, but again, still very friendly with the Russians. And if you follow Belarus geopolitics, you would know Alexander Lukashenko. He has been their president since 1994. So he's always kind of, international community, they don't like that. So he is, I think, he's kind of referred to as like the last dictator of Europe. I can't think off the top of my head if there's anybody else in the world right now who's actually been in power for longer than him. Because, think of like some of your tin pot dictators there, like Kim Jong-un. I don't think he came to power until like the 2010s. I want to see maybe 2011. Mugabe in Zimbabwe, he's dead now, but he held on until he was like 90 years old. So I think Lukashenko, you know what? Actually, the guy we did Tajikistan, and I remember in that episode, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know he's been there for a while, so he might have him beat, but not by much. So pretty much coming to power, when the Soviet Union collapses, just like Belarus around the same time. And yeah, so there was a something that happened in 2020 with this country, and who knows how much foreign involvement there was in that. But Belarus, they had a presidential election, and the girl, I guess it was a female, who ran against Lukashenko. I think she was like a YouTube star or something, like one of these like political activists on YouTube. And I think like the international community like kind of hedged their bets around her. She did not win, and because this is Belarus, she had to flee the country after the election. But that's an interesting story. So I think there's a lot more to that that'll probably come out in the future. But yeah, they ran like one of these like social media influencer politician types to go up against the big bad dictator Lukashenko. And then of course as well, Belarus is seen as the bad guy because they're supporting Russia against Ukraine. They do have issues with neighboring Poland, right, where Belarus is sending like third world migrants through Poland's doors, which does not make Poland happy. And Poland and Lithuania to this day, they actually do not recognize Lukashenko as the official president. They say it's like a rogue state, or he didn't really win the election. But yeah, interesting history with this country. Again, it's very, very parallel to Russia. Not favored, I guess, by the Western world. The last true dictatorship in Europe, they call it. But yeah, it's kind of a poor country too. Still kind of carries the scars of communism, authoritarianism. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future of Belarus. What does the flag stand for? Well, again, I talked about the ornamentation in red on the side that kind of represents like Belarus and the textiles there, the craftsmanship. The red band is the past struggles, the oppression, the heavy metal, the rising up, and then the green band represents the hope and the many forests of the country. So hope, forest, blood, metal, quilts, we got it all in Belarus. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video.